Former President Trump hitting the campaign trail and hitting back at Biden's DOJ after pleading not guilty to his third indictment.
Meanwhile, Special Counsel Jack Smith is requesting a protective order in the latest case over social media threats.
Here to react, Tim Parlatore, Trump's attorney who oversaw the FBI search of Mar-a-Lago. Tim, thanks for being here. You know, Jack Smith is at the center of all this. What's your take on the approach he's taken so far?
Well, I think overall, Jack Smith has taken a pretty careless approach. You know, from my dealings with that office, for over a year, both before he came in and after, they're really trying to pursue charges here as opposed to actually pursuing justice, which is what the ethical obligations of prosecutors really are. In this case, they brought an indictment before they even finished their investigation. When you look at the D.C. indictment, it all turns on the element of whether Trump knew that the allegations he was making were false or whether he had some good faith basis to believe that there may be fraud. About a week before the indictment, I turned over thousands of pages of records that the special counsel had never seen before that bear directly on that from Bernie Kerik and the Rudy Giuliani team. And I found out 2 nights ago, he didn't even bother reading it. He didn't even download it until a couple of days after the indictment dropped.
So you're saying evidence that they produced that there might have been problems with the 2020 election, which could have led President Trump to believe that there were problems, which means he believed what he was saying, was never considered by Jack Smith, at least some of it.
That's correct. And, these pages, they don't prove necessarily that there was fraud in the election, but what they do prove is that at the time, Rudy Giuliani and the team, and therefore President Trump, were pursuing these because they had questions and they were looking into it. People want to say, oh, all those things have been debunked. But the question for the criminal case is, had they been debunked at the time, and did they still believe them at the time? Jack Smith has thousands of pages that bear directly on that, and he chose not to even download them before bringing an indictment.
Yeah, Tim, it strikes me. So what in my estimation, has been done here is there's an attempt to criminalize political speech, by extension, then free speech through the First Amendment. Now, the argument is, well, President Trump knew that his claims were false, and therefore he defrauded the government. And then they go through, it's roughly 45 pages in the indictment, of all of these examples of people telling President Trump that his claims are baseless. But to your point, and I think Alina Hobbs pointed this out as well, there were other attorneys. He was getting other advice as well, telling him, no, there's some legitimacy to these claims. So the question is, did he believe, and I think we can all look at a President Trump interview even today, and I think the answer is he does, believe the legitimacy of his claims?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've spent plenty of time with him, and, he believes it. He believed it then, he believes it today. And when you sit there and try to build a criminal case on, well, you should have ignored these people and listened to those people,
right,
that's a losing formula. It's absolutely a losing formula. All of those people that he should have listened to, according to them, will have to take the stand, and then they're going to be cross-examined on what is the basis of their belief. How many agents did they send out? How much investigation did they do? Did they interview all the people that Giuliani's team interviewed? Did they review all the records that Giuliani's team interviewed? Or were they saying it based on a lack of information?
Yeah, really quickly before we go, Tim, can you think of any historical precedent? Have these 4 counts been applied in this manner, in your estimation, at any point in American history? No. What pattern? And then he went perusing through the law books to try and find something that he could try to shoehorn this into. That's not what we want prosecutors to do. We want them to prosecute things that are clear crimes. Watergate, that's a clear crime. You break into a hotel to steal stuff, that's clear, that's easy. Here, what he's trying to do is take an untested fact pattern and shoehorn it in something that's never been done before, and I think the appellate courts are going to reject.
Yeah,
I think so.
And the timing of the indictment is another thing.
Yeah, the whole thing.
At least one appellate court, by the way, the Supreme Court. I don't know what will happen on its way to the Supreme Court, but I think it doesn't survive the Supreme Court.
Could make its way there, for sure. Tim Parlatore, you know what you're talking about. Thanks for joining us.
All right.
Thank you.
You got it.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.